I'm gonna need you to move. I know it's the worst.
Come on, big guy. Every year, the Junior League does a Little Black Dress social media initiative to spread awareness of our mission to help women in our community around human trafficking or economic mobility and overcome those barriers. So for this initiative, we wear the same black dress for a week, and that's supposed to represent the lack of choices that women in those situations have to make. So at some point in my life, I was taught or told that any new event that I need to be a part of requires a new dress. If it's a wedding, a work event, whatever, I end up buying a new dress, and that defeats the whole purpose of this initiative. But the problem is I don't have a black dress, but what I do have is black fabric. So I'm gonna make a black dress and wear it for a week to help support and raise awareness for women in our community impacted by human trafficking or economic mobility. And this year I'm working on the human trafficking side of Junior League, so I know a little bit more about that. I've learned a lot in the last few weeks or months. So just a little trigger warning when I talk about some of the things I've learned about human trafficking along the way, because it's been really eye-opening to me on what it actually means. I want to give a warning for anyone who might be a little bit more sensitive to the topic. And I do want to share up front, there's a lot of resources available for anyone. So if you or someone you know needs help, there's a hotline you can call, which is 1-888-373-7888, or you can text help or info to 233733. So on to the dress I'm gonna make. This is the pattern I'm going to use. I'm going to do this one just without the like sleeve ruffles. I just don't like the look of that. So I have the black cotton I'm gonna use for that. I also have this like ribbed velvet, so you can kind of see through it. I was trying to figure out how I want to use that. I might do the back in this or the sleeve, but I'm not sure yet. So this pattern has a few pieces. The skirt is just 2 blocks, which is easy. I added 2 inches to the hem because I wanted it just a little bit longer. It seemed like when I held it up, it would be a little above the knee, and I don't like that. So then I had the 2 bodice pieces and the sleeve. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like there should be facings or something. I don't know. So this year I've been doing a lot more research on the human trafficking side of Junior League and just trying to learn as much as I can because it's just completely foreign to me. And I always thought it was something like, I need pins. I got pins. I always thought it was like you go on vacation to another country and you know you get kidnapped or something like that. Or even here in the US there was this thing going around on Facebook, I think it was last year, about, you know, if you go to your car in a parking lot and there's something on your windshield, call the police immediately because that's someone trying to kidnap you to traffic you and stuff like that. And stuff like that does happen, but it's a lot less common than I think people think. It could be someone trying to kidnap you to do harm to you, but it might not be trafficking. So I started listening to this podcast called Trafficked, and if you like stuff like I Survived or like true crime type of things, you would probably like this podcast because it's people, because men and women, telling their stories of how they were trafficked. And it's really interesting, and it's just amazing what these people have gone through. And I think a great example, I think I'm 5 or 6 episodes in, but there's one episode where this woman from, you know, a good family, she was in college, she, you know, had kind of the good life and kind of not what you expect. And she met a guy, fell in love. He moved to Vegas and asked her to come with him, or they went together. I don't remember how it worked out, but as soon as she was isolated, he completely changed and, you know, forced her into the life. And it's not what you'd expect. And then she was too embarrassed to tell her family what's going on. She had no support system. So it can happen to anyone, which I think is kind of the point, that it can happen to anyone. It's not just those people or those countries. It's right here in the US, and it's just incredible the more you learn about it, and it could be happening right next door and you don't even know. That's kind of the point of this little black dress initiative, just to raise awareness. So, okay, so now that I've sewn and pressed all of my darts, I'm going to attach the front to the back. I think it's the sides first and then the shoulders, and then do the skirt, put it all together, slap on a zipper, and it should be good to go. But we'll see how that turns out. This is why I can't get anything done. He works as a great pattern weight, at least. The most expensive one I have. A rookie mistake. So for the front panel, it's supposed to be just one piece cut on the fold, but I didn't have enough fabric to cut it on the fold, so I just cut 2 pieces. But I didn't add seam allowance to put those pieces together. So now I'm thinking it's gonna fit a bit tighter than I wanted it to. I don't have enough fabric to recut it, so I'm gonna have to go with it. But the way I've been finishing my seams is I'll cut one side of the excess and then fold the other side around it, and then I'll just sew up to just encase all of those loose ends. So this one is too small to do that, and it's down the center, so I don't want to have an off-center double seam like I do for the sides. So I think what I'm going to do is fold this under, and it's going to be itty-bitty, and just do, so it'll be 3 lines down the center versus just an off-center one. But now I'm scared it's not going to fit. This is a whole thing. All right, I'm going to iron it down with the 2 on each side, or 1 on each side, and I think that's probably the best option. Okay, that was extremely fiddly, but I think this will work. So now I just have to sew up each side, and then on the front, you'll see the center, and then there'll be 2 pretty close to the center, so there'll just be 3 lines. So, shouldn't look too crazy. Here I'm just checking if all my lines are going to match up, because I had to do the front differently than was in the pattern. So when I actually pin this together to sew, you have to put right sides together, but here I'm just checking to make sure everything's going to line up for the zipper. So I'm feeling very behind, but I don't think I actually am. So it's been a couple weeks since I've worked on this, and the bad part of that is that I didn't remember where I was in the process, but read through the instructions again, looked at what I have, and I'm at the point where I just have to attach the bodice to the skirt, and then once I do that, I add a zipper all the way across the back. And I think the issue I had at the front with the not leaving seam allowance for when I added them together, I think it's actually working out okay because it's lining up pretty good. I just hope it fits. So we'll see how that turns out. So I'm going to attach the bodice to the skirt and then put the zipper in, and then the sleeves I believe are last, which is weird. And I'm between 2 options. So I have the just plain black that matches. So it would just be a normal, you know, little black sleeve. Or I have the line or the striped velvet, which I think might look kind of cool, just something different. Or it might look kind of weird, 2 completely different fabrics together. But that would just break it up a little bit. Then after I decide which sleeve I'm doing and add them, I'll cut some bias to do around the neckline and the hem at the bottom. And then I think it's pretty much good to go unless I wanted to add anything fancy to it, but I don't think so because I'm behind.
I finished the seams the same way on every piece of this dress. So I just cut short one end of the seam allowance and I fold over the longer end of seam allowance to encase all of those loose ends. I iron it down so it's flat and then just sew up the side that's open. Everything's encased and there shouldn't be any fraying. Next is the zipper. I saw a YouTube video a while ago where she sewed up the whole back of the garment and then unpicked it so that you have this clean line of where it needs to all attach in the back, and then you just insert the zipper where you've already pressed those seams down. And this seems to be the cleanest way to do it. You have pretty good luck with it. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on sewing and picking up a lot of good tips, and another one from a closet historian was using bias tape, which I didn't really understand what it was. But if you cut out fabric, I'm using a 2-inch ruler that matches the fabric that you're using. You cut out these long strips and attach them, and then you can use them to finish your edges to the hem or the sleeve. On this dress I used it for hem and the sleeve and the neckline, and it gives a lot cleaner of a look than just folding it over and sewing down, which is what I've been struggling with. I cut out these strips of bias tape about 2 inches wide, and then I'm just folding in each of the long edges and ironing it down to make it easier to work with. So each of the long edges go towards the middle, and then you just sandwich that together around whatever edges you're trying to encase.
I've spent the last, feels like hour, but probably 10 minutes trying to figure out how to attach a sleeve, because then I realized I don't think I've ever sewn anything with a sleeve. I always do sleeveless and then do a bias tape because it's easier. And I can't figure out, I'm getting a headache. So how, I need this side on the outside, or obviously that's the right side, this is the right side. And usually you do right sides together, sew it, but it needs to be on the other side. What? And I tried looking on YouTube, I can't find anything that makes it make sense. And the instructions just say, with right sides together, pin sleeve to armhole, matching notches, underarm seams, large circle, shoulder seam, and adjust to ease. And sew along there, and then, oh, I think I just figured it out. Okay, so it's, no I didn't. Okay, so I gotta start at the bottom, and I'm gonna sew it, or pin it right sides together, but from the inside. I think this is right. I think I have tried this once before, and I sewed it up, and then when I flipped it all in the right side out, the seams were on the wrong side. So I'm hoping I'm not just repeating that same issue. Most of the sleeve in here, and then I'm going to pull my gathering stitch to fill in. I need to walk away from this. So I had to walk away from it because I gave myself a headache. But I think I figured it out. I slept on it and thought about it all night of why am I making this so complicated. And then my mom looked at what I was doing and said it was right, so I'm gonna trust her. So I just have it flipped inside out, and then I have the sleeve flipped inside out. And I'm gonna insert the sleeve so that it's on the inside and then pin along the outside. And that should work. When I flip it inside out, the seams will be on the inside. What are you doing? You think that's where you're supposed to be? Can't get good help these days. So I'm honestly kind of shocked that it fits. So sleeves are somehow the right length. The shoulders look okay. One's a little poofier than the other. So now it's just finishing the neck and the hem, the button in the back, and then finishing up a couple seams. But happy with it so far. So just left the training for the Little Black Dress Initiative, which is going to start in a couple weeks. So they give us all the information we need to know. I'll share all the information to donate if that's something you feel like you want to do in the description. So please check that out. Or if you have questions, you can put it in the comments or just let me know. Now I gotta take off my shoes because I can't drive in heels and head home. But thank you for watching. I'm definitely happy with how this turned out. A couple things I would change. Probably the hem, the bias tape I used is a little bit too thick, so it makes the dress kind of poofier at the bottom, which isn't what I wanted. So I might change that to a thinner bias tape. I'm glad I figured out how the sleeves work. That stressed me out beyond belief. But I figured it out, and I'm gonna have to make a note for next time so that I don't, you know, have a meltdown on how to do the sleeves. Thank you for watching. If you want to donate, I'll add the information below. But the point of wearing this black dress for a week is to show the lack of choices that women in these financial situations have, and to raise money for the Junior League and support our mission of raising awareness and reducing human trafficking in Greenville, South Carolina, where I live, but we're all over the country and the world. For more information, you can go to the Junior League website. I'll also link that, and let me know if you have questions, but thank you for watching.